Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Today I'll be showing you how to play the Catalan Opening. And you might be asking yourself, why do I need to play the Catalan? Well, it is the biggest tool in the arsenals of Magnus Carlsen, Liren, world champion Gukesh, and many other top players. This is an opening you need to know, if not to play it with white, then how to defend it with black. And it is one of the most key, it is one of the most studied openings, as I set my microphone up, in the world of chess. It is the most discussed, most looked at opening. So let's have a look, or one of them at least. So to get to this position, this is the Catalan position that you will get with d5. And then to just show you how we got here, it's a d4 opening, knight to f6. I mean, there are transpositions where black starts with d5 and we go into a more traditional queen's gambit decline, but it's c4, e6, g3, and this move is nice because you avoid kind of, any Queen's Indian stuff with if you play knight to f3 or bongo Indians and stuff like that. So, pawn to d5 after there. And from here, it's very simple from white, bishop to g2. And this is the bread and butter of the Catalan. This bishop, your whole play revolves around targeting black's queenside, which often is the last pieces to develop, and you don't mind if they take this pawn because it opens up this bishop. The Catalan bishop is your most prized possession in this opening. It is what you need to protect, and it is what black is going to look to exchange, as we will see in a moment. So after bishop to g2, the main line follows with bishop to e7, knight to f3, and you might say, well, doesn't this knight block the bishop? Yes and no, because often it will either go back to d2 or to e1 after castling, or jump into the center with knight to e5. So it's just there temporarily. Again, most important piece, this bishop. Okay, then we've got short castles, and now there's two key moves. You can see you can play the open Catalan as black. This is where black decides how they would like to suffer. You can take this pawn and be like, yo, that is a free pawn, I would like to take it. Or you can say, nope, I'm not having any fun, I'm going to play c6. So let's look at taking first. D takes c4, queen to c2, a6, and the main idea is if the queen takes, you hit them. So if the queen takes, then it's b5, queen c2, and bishop to b7. And now you've successfully got your bishop out to challenge white's light squared bishop, and you're going to be fine. This is, if we turn on the engine, it's, give it a second to think, it's level. You can see it's level. It thinks black has equalized perfectly fine. So that's why we play a4 to prevent b5. And now we play the bishop to d7. Because after queen takes, we call this like the bishop crawl variation. It's just the classical main line. And now you still get this bishop there. And, as white, you've got to post problems. So instead of taking, which is the most common move, there's, rook d1 as well. Knight to e5 is something we've discussed. And, this is already move 8. You don't have to play it like this. This is the main line. These are the main plans. Your queen comes to c2 to put pressure on this pawn. You play a4 to prevent b5. Your knight can go to e1 to sometimes go to d3, or it can go to e5 to try and win this pawn in some lines and open up the bishop. Because there are lines where black preeminently jumps in and the queenside falls, because you can imagine this pawn becoming weak when this bishop moves. If you commit to c5, the rook is on this diagonal. So you put a lot of pressure. If we just finish, queen to c4, bishop here, this is fine. There's a couple of moves now. You've got bishop to g5, you've got bishop to f4, so bishop to f4, bishop there, rook d1, knight c3. You've got lots of options here as white, depending on how you would like to play. So we're going to look at one other line, and that's the line with c6. Still queen to c2. So you remember this position. Instead of taking the pawn, you play c6. You play queen to c2 because if you don't, and you play, let's say, knight e5, or another common move, knight to c3. Black can take, and they can try and protect it now with b4. So you don't get to win the pawn back, and they say, yes, this is open, but I will suffer for the extra pawn. There's only one move here, knight to e5, knight b d7, and we still win the pawn back. But you know, that pawn now, we've been able to trade, and that pawn now protects everything. So another way to play. This position though, still level, but a bit more better for white. So queen to c2, b6, because you want to fianchetto to fight back on this. Limits on the engine off. It's putting too many arrows on the board. Knight to d7. And now there's two key moves. The most common one is to just put the bishop here. But I don't know if you remember, in the World Championship, there is also the Super Fianchetto, where you go with the bishop here. And you look to fight with this. So then b3. Knight b d7. We saw this in Ding versus Gukesh. I can't remember which game it is, but I will link that game down below. It will be one of their games. I will link that down below, as will be how to learn the Aljorken's defense and my opening roulettes with the Catalan. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Catalan for you. So the basic position that we get is here. You can see we've got the two main options. This is where the game deviates, but this is the position you're going to get if you want to play the Catalan. And you know, as black, you're going to come up with against the Catalan unless d4, d5, with c4 you play Queen's Gambit accepted. If you play Queen's Gambit declined, there will be a point in life where you will get this. And we have now just transposed to the same position. It is the same position. We play knight to f3, bishop to e7, short castles. It is the same thing. So the only way to avoid the Catalan is when d4 gets played, to play d5. And even then you might not avoid the Catalan, because your opponent might start with c4. And then knight to f6, d4, e6, Catalan. So this is something you need to know. If you don't play it with white, which you should give it a try. It is something very positional, but can give very good attacking chances. It will be something good. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like down below, comment on how I can improve the videos, and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Until next time.